Thank you very much. It is such a pleasure to be here today. Good afternoon and congratulations to all of you 2016 graduates. I'm so thrilled to join you today in celebrating your accomplishment. I've been asked to give a few different commencement speeches over the last 3 years, and it's always such an honor and a privilege, but none more extraordinary than having the opportunity to speak to the graduates at my own graduate school alma mater, PC. And I have to tell you that each year I get this fabulous seat right in the front row, and I get to see all of you walking by. And anyone who knows me knows I'm a big shoe person, and I have the opportunity to see thousands of shoes walking by. And I have to say, Providence College, you have the best I've seen yet. But seriously, I'm so happy to be here with you as you begin the next steps of your journey. And it brings me back, of course, to my graduation when I sat in your very seat 13 years ago as a graduate of the MBA program at Providence, and also reminds me of my experience as an undergraduate at Stonehill College. I was just thinking about this past weekend when I arrived at Stonehill College and I was a freshman, and I had the pleasure and privilege of meeting who I had heard all about from the day I had arrived, the big senior basketball star, Ed Cooley. How funny that we would cross paths again this way. So today, I'd like to share a few lessons that I've learned about life in the years since I was in your seat and waiting to cross this very stage. I'm going to give you 3 keys to happiness and fulfillment. I'll explain each of them in a few minutes. The 3 keys are: accept it and move on, get off the island, and share the spirit. Admittedly, some of this is what I've learned from my own years of life experience, but most of this is what I've learned more recently. Most of this was learned one sunny spring day in Boston, one bright day when 2 flashes changed my life forever. Life is a carnival of contrasts. There are so many wonderful moments, like college graduations. Yet there are also disappointments and setbacks, the moments that force us to persevere. Sometimes we can see them coming: a failed test, a divorce in our family, a missed job opportunity. And sometimes we can't: an unexpected health diagnosis, a car accident, or in my case, a bomb. 3 years ago, in one moment, I went from being a carefree race spectator to a terrorism victim facing an amputation. Please come with me as I tell you about going from confusion and despair to peace and hope, about going from lying in a hospital bed to walking, to running, to stand-up paddleboarding, and to standing here before you today. April 15th, 2013 was what is celebrated in Massachusetts as Patriots' Day. It's what is known by Bostonians as Marathon Monday. It's been an annual day of celebration for me and my friends, a celebration of spring. On that Monday, as we have done for many years on Patriots' Day, we left our homes in Newport, Rhode Island, and headed 90 minutes north to Boston. A day with the Sox at Fenway Park, cheering on the marathon runners afterwards. What could be better? In keeping with our custom, we left the game a little early to beat the crowds walking over to the race finish line. We have other friends that live in Boston, and we would meet them at our usual spot, a restaurant called Forum. The 7 of us got split up on our walk over there. 4 were already inside the restaurant when 3 of us arrived, choosing to stand briefly outside the open front door and watch the runners before we entered. I was in that group of 3. There was an explosion. It was to our right, further up Boylston Street. We all turned in that direction, knowing immediately that something was terribly wrong. There was smoke, people running on the sidewalk, and there was screaming. Those thoughts were very brief, only 12 seconds. Another loud noise to my right seemed to envelope me, blocking all out other sensations, and before I knew it, I was off my feet, being catapulted back through the open doorway of the restaurant. Later, pieces of shrapnel would be found embedded in the walls, ceiling, and furniture, and me. Lying there, I thought my foot was on fire. The pain was excruciating. Through smoke, I could see blood, shattered glass, and people running by me to the rear exit of the building, literally running for their lives. But I couldn't move. Within the next several days, I went through 3 surgeries to repair my wounds and hopefully to save my leg. Those efforts were not successful. Doctors came to me and recommended what I feared most. They said amputation would give me the best chance for resuming the active, independent life that I was used to. The decision was mine. Remember those disappointments and setbacks I mentioned earlier? At that moment, in my hospital bed, I knew that this setback was one that would be with me for the rest of my life. I made my decision, and 1 week after those horrible 12 seconds on Boylston Street, my left leg was amputated below the knee. 1 week after what was planned to be a day of celebration, I was forced to discover what would become the new normal for my future. And I was forced to embrace my first key to life: accept it and move on. Recognize what can't be changed, put it aside, and move forward with living your life. I admit this didn't come immediately. I'm not going to pretend I didn't have any woe is me moments. But as a former accounting major, I had developed an ability to approach things in a logical, finite terms. Yes, I spent sleepless nights wondering what if and why me. What if we hadn't left the game early? What if I hadn't gotten separated from my friends on the walk from Fenway? Why did this happen to me when none of my friends were injured? But my logical accounting side kicked in. There were no finite black and white answers to my questions. No answers that would satisfy me anyway. Hashing out these scenarios was pointless and counterproductive. It was time to just let it go. What happened, happened. It was history, and there was nothing I could do to change it. As we often say these days, it is what it is. I was never getting my leg back. I needed to accept that and focus on getting my life back. I do want to be clear about something, though. Letting go and moving forward is different than forgetting. I will not forget, just like you will not forget the experiences in your life, but continue to grow, to thrive, to live the life you want. You have to be willing to accept it and rise above it. I will never forget the loss that surrounded me on that day in Boston. I have a new family now. I am just one of 264 people who were injured that day. 17 of us lost legs. 3 of those 17 lost 2 limbs. And 4 other members of our family's lives were lost forever. As a survivor, the only choice is to move on. To pick yourself up, think about where you want to go, and get on the path away from shock and sadness, and back to the life you deserve. I knew that I needed to fight to get my life back. I needed to move on. I also knew it wouldn't be easy. Nothing worth having ever is. I had a lot to learn. There would be plenty of mistakes. But as Albert Einstein proclaimed, a person who never made a mistake never tried anything new. I didn't know much about what amputees were able to do, or what was realistic to expect. What was it like to walk on a prosthetic leg? Did it hurt? What was the leg capable of? And I certainly knew nothing about how tremendously expensive these prostheses would be. Plus, I openly admit to being a girly girl. So I worried, would I be able to wear skirts and dresses? Would I still be able to wear high heels? So many questions and so few answers. I had no clue, and I needed help. It was time for my second key to life: get off the island. Rely on the help and support of others. I knew I couldn't do this alone. The absence of a leg was a daily reminder of that. Even in the first horrible seconds after the bombing, I knew I wasn't alone. I started benefiting from the kindness of others right after the blast threw me onto the restaurant floor. Remember those people I said ran past me running for safety? I don't blame or question them. A third explosion may have been coming. They were just reacting to their instincts. But one couple reacted to different instincts. Risking their lives, they knelt beside me, comforting me in the chaos, and they said they were going to help me. The husband, Matt Chatham, a former New England Patriots football player, carried me to an ambulance while his wife assured me there would be another day. That was just the start of help from others. I can give you example after example of kindness that I received from friends, family, and total strangers. Fundraisers generated thousands of dollars for medical bills for both current and future prosthetic legs. Massachusetts established the Boston One Fund, enabling anyone to donate towards the medical expenses of the bombing survivors. For us 17 amputees alone, we faced an outrageous cost of prosthetic devices over our lifetime. But some of the most valuable support came from experienced amputees, some United States veterans who survived blast injuries themselves, people who volunteered their time to ease my concerns. They walked into my hospital room on their prosthetic legs. They told me what it would be like to get fitted, about learning to walk, and about realizing there was hope. They told me about prostheses available for swimming, running, biking, and even wearing high heels. While I was in the hospital, Anderson Cooper interviewed me. We talked about summers in Newport, and he asked me what this coming summer would be like for me. I told him that I would miss stand-up paddleboarding in the ocean near my house. Some employees of a San Diego paddleboard maker saw the interview. Shortly after I returned home from the hospital in May, a 12-foot paddleboard was at my front door with a note from the company's owners. They said they'd like to see a picture of me on it that summer. I graciously thanked them, but said there was no way I would be on the board that summer, if ever. I wouldn't even be fitted for my first prosthetic leg until the following month. So the board sat in my basement all summer long, and I had to sit aside and watch as my friends went out on the water. All that time, I could hear the board calling for me to give it a try. I worked hard that summer learning to walk on my new leg. With the help of physical therapists and folks at the gym who donated their time, I kept improving. I went from 2 crutches to 1, then a cane, and eventually to balancing on my own. In late August, I was finally ready to get fitted for my waterproof leg, and I could hit the beach. Frankly, that seemed irrelevant to me. The summer was about to end, but I still had the nag of that paddleboard sitting in my basement. On the last week of August, I asked my friends to head to the beach, and I took the board with me. 3 months earlier, complete strangers had given me a gift, and they had also given me a challenge. Without them, I wouldn't have been on that beach. And without them, they wouldn't have received a photograph of me standing on that board, paddling over the surf, just 4 months after having my leg amputated. Since then, my collection of legs has grown. I'm the proud owner of 6. One allows me to run, one allows me to wear high heels. I can do all sorts of different things in my 6 legs. Looking back, I was very fortunate. Yes, I lost a leg, but I was fortunate by way of the circumstances in which it occurred. I was injured in a high-profile public event. I was in the spotlight. That public exposure in national media inspired me to move ahead, to fight my way back. And it also enabled me to attract resources and help that were so important to my recovery. But what about people who suffer quietly and alone? People who are injured in a way that the whole world isn't aware and able to help. Don't we owe them our assistance? And that led me to life key number 3, share the spirit. It is up to all of us to pay it forward, to help people around us whenever we can. Personally, I feel it's my turn to give hope to new amputees, just as those experienced veterans did for me in that Boston hospital. I'm now a certified peer counselor through the American Amputee Coalition. I'm called on by local hospitals to visit others, mostly women, to show them the ropes. I'm able to walk in and say, not long ago, I was exactly where you are, and look at me now. It's a great feeling for both of us. I can give them hope as others did for me. To try to help them and others, I've started the Heather Abbott Foundation. Its purpose is to raise money for people who have had an amputation due to traumatic circumstances. Specialized prosthetic devices are expensive, and they're not all covered by health insurance. Costs run from $15,000 to over 6 figures. My high heel leg cost $70,000. It may seem trivial to be concerned about things like high heels, but appearance is important for business life, and it's important for self-esteem. It's literally who we are. There are already enough challenges in recovering from an amputation. Why must people also accept a new identity? My foundation's goal is simple: to help people be themselves and to live the active lives they want. In the next chapter of your lives, do what you can for others. As graduates, you have advantages. You have strengths and confidence that others may have been denied. Be a catalyst for good, for self-determination, and for personal freedom. Reach out, whether in simple interactions with family and friends, in expressions or demonstrations of support, or in volunteering with organizations looking for people to pay it forward. People like you. So there it is. Accept it and move on, get off the island, and share the spirit. It's all up to you. Today, for a few moments longer, you're still on the college's schedule. Be here at this time and do this now. But tomorrow you're on your own time. Are you ready for the journey? For that reinventing of yourself? I read somewhere that you have 2 choices in life. You can dissolve into the mainstream, or you can be distinct. To be distinct, you must be different. And to be different, you must strive to be what no one else but you can be. In making your choices, ask yourself, how will you be thought of? How will you be remembered? At various times in your life, you'll find yourself in all different types of roles, like I described to you in my story. At times, you may be the victim, scared, uneducated, and alone, like I was. And at other times, you'll have the opportunity to be the rescuer, the supporter, and the giver. This morning, I had the pleasure of meeting your classmate and fellow graduate, Cisco Olye. Cisco gets around campus on a wheelchair. Prior to meeting him, I read an interview with him on the PC website. When asked how he manages the many hills and slopes at PC in his wheelchair, he replied, "Friends always get me uphill." Sometimes you'll be the one who needs the push uphill, and other times you'll have the opportunity to give the push, or the paddleboard. Winston Churchill said, "History will be kind to me because I intend to write it." Take it from me, you can write your own history. So write it boldly. And remember the comforting words of Christopher Robin to Winnie the Pooh as they were about to go their separate ways. You're braver than you believe, stronger than you seem, and smarter than you think. Travel well, my friends, and thank you.